This user, Mr. Tomfooligans, made a video about George Zimmerman supporters. They're driving him nuts. But this isn't really a reply to that. But it's in response. I figured I would say. Now, was Mr. Zimmerman, is he a racist? Was he racially motivated? Well, let's take a bunch of questions in that regard, right? Is he a racist? That's a nonsensical question. Behavior is racist. Was it racist to follow the kid? Well, look, in his head, how it seems to me, I mean, I should state, I believe these things are to be tried in a court of law where you can get to the real facts in the particular situation. But from what I've read and listened to the tapes and witnesses and stuff, basically, he is having a fantasy, a magical thinking situation, where in his mind, he is on the case. It's Sherlock Holmes or some action cop film in his head. That's what's going on, the intrigue of that. Now, is that racially motivated? Well, I mean, I think he probably could have been following a haole kid. That's our Hawaiian word for white. They're racist against whites here. We have the haole term. And he could have been following a haole kid, that triggered the things to think he was some kind of gangbanger, tweaker, or whatever. But the thing is that, people want to talk about, well, he was wearing a hoodie and stuff. It was about the clothing, and he's trying to look like someone that thinks that way. That he's wearing the symbols that make him a gang member. He's got long hair. He's obviously a Charles Manson lover, People that think that way, being black is, more of a sign than wearing a hoodie. If it was Warren Buffett wearing a sweatshirt in the rain, in the drizzle, then I just don't think it would have been the same thing. So yeah, there's a racial factor, for sure. But the real factor is taking people like this, and if there was no racial signaling in our culture, people like this, emboldened to carry guns on community watch and play hero with guns, that would turn out this way anyway, no matter what the victim was. But for those that are racial awareness and civil rights activists, yeah, this is important. This kid, now if he attacked Zimmerman, then he took a kind of a risk that, oh well, that's why you don't do that. The guy you attack might be a crazy nutter with the gun, but he's still a crazy nutter with the gun. He goes away. I'm sorry. Somebody's following you and you attack that person, that's not probable cause to kill somebody. Right? They don't know who you are, and as a matter of fact, you are nobody. You're just a stalker. So when the stalker kills the victim for whatever magical thinking caused the stalking, you got a problem. Now, I think in our society, it just lays bare what so many of us have known for a long time about, our cultural prejudices, our paranoia, our kind of crime paranoia, the way we ignore the things that are really destroying our society in favor of just paranoid fantasies and in favor of the roles we can play in those fantasies. And it's just, we need to get back to reality. And our social services in this country, at least, are just abysmal. I mean, community watch, neighborhood watch is a great idea. People paying attention to someone lurking or sitting in a car on the street in front of their house, down the street from their ex-wife, turns out, or whatever. But we shouldn't feel so desperate or have to feel so desperate that any crime that calls for a gun to solve it, with the police, the only ones really... I mean, this is what should be sacred for better or worse with the police. They are the only ones that are allowed to use violence to get their job done. And they should be really well trained, and as badly trained as they are, they crushed this guy, if you saw that, and just terrible, terrible things with the police. You can see how bad it can get if it's just, what about no police, just a bunch of George Zimmermans running around. I mean, even incompetent police have more accountability and training, appropriate training, to combat in an emotional situation like that the imposition of your magical thinking, what you think is going on and you think you're doing. So I do think it was racial in the sense that that's the easy reason. There doesn't seem to me to be any indication, just some kid walking across a huge housing development where people presumably live. So there doesn't seem to be any really probable cause. And if you want to say, oh, well, he's wearing a hoodie, well, then being black, I think, played a role too, then. If that was the level of why am I following this particular person. So, anyway, it is annoying.